My brother pretended to have a work emergency to ditch his wife, and she completely flipped the script on him. My sister-in-law packed her bags, booked a hotel room, and finally put herself first. And my brother lost his mind over it. Because he had a plan. He had this whole thing figured out. He was going to pull a fake work emergency right before she left, force her to cancel her trip, and walk away looking like the responsible one. That was the plan. It did not go the plan. Anna did not cancel anything. She picked up her kids, called me, and kept moving. And now my brother Dick is standing alone in a house he barely helped run, with no babysitter, no help from family, no business trip, and absolutely no idea what to do next. This is the part where I start from the beginning, because the full picture is even better than the headline. Anna and Dick used to have a solid marriage. Before the kids, by all accounts, they were doing fine. They were two people who had built something together and it seemed to be working. But then children arrived, and something in Dick shifted. Not in the direction of stepping up. Not in the direction of rising to meet a new chapter of his life with intention and maturity. In the direction of stepping back, retreating from responsibility, and quietly waiting for Anna to handle everything while he stood nearby collecting no credit and contributing very little. Now let me be clear about what everything means here. Anna is a stay-at-home mom. She is also taking college classes online, working toward a degree while raising small children, which anyone who has done that knows is not a light lift. She is also running a side business through an MLM, and whatever you think about that business model, she made friends through it, she built a community. She created a space for herself outside the four walls of a house that had started to feel more like a job site than a home. She is clearly out here trying. Meanwhile, Dick is physically present in the house and functionally absent from the actual work of raising children. Anna told me herself that the marriage slowly fell apart after the kids came. That it did not happen overnight. That it was a slow erosion, a quiet accumulation of small disappointments and unmet expectations that wore the foundation down over time. The feeling of not being seen. The feeling of not being valued. The feeling of being the default parent, the default cleaner, the default planner, the default everything, while her husband moved through the household like a guest who occasionally helped carry groceries. Dick, in her words, wants a medal for watching his own children for 30 minutes while she cooks dinner. And I want to be specific about what that means. Not 30 minutes of engaged, present, intentional parenting where he is on the floor with them, reading to them, actually connecting. 30 minutes of existing in the same room as his kids while his wife does something else. That is the bar he set for himself. That is the bar he expected applause for clearing. And Anna had been quietly absorbing that dynamic for long enough that she had started to lose herself inside it. So when Anna found out her MLM was hosting a convention close to home, something in her lit up. This was not some far-flung extravagance. She was not booking flights to another city and leaving for a week. She booked a hotel nearby, she planned to attend the convention with her friends for a few days, and she organized the entire thing months in advance with the kind of careful planning that only someone who is used to managing every moving part of a household ever learns to do. She sat Dick down and had a real conversation. She explained clearly that this trip mattered to her, that it was a chance to network and connect and just exist as a person outside of her role as a mother and wife, and that she needed him to take time off work so he could care for their children while she was gone. She did not spring this on him the week before. She gave him months of runway. She gave him a clear request, a clear timeline, and every possible tool to succeed at one simple thing. Over Christmas, weeks before the trip, she checked in. She asked him directly whether his time off had been approved by his job. And Dick said yes. Just yes. Casual, unbothered, no supporting details whatsoever. No confirmation email forwarded, no calendar invite shared, no visible evidence that he had done the single thing she asked him to do. Just a dismissive yes from a man who had probably not thought about it for even 1 minute after she asked, because in his mind Anna would figure it out if he did not, because she always figured it out, because that was the arrangement he had grown comfortable with even though she never agreed to it. I told her he was going to blow it. I said those exact words to her face, plainly, because I know my brother and I know how he operates. I told her I had a feeling, a strong one, based on a lifetime of watching him choose the path of least resistance at the expense of the people around him, that he was going to find a way to make this about himself at the worst possible moment. She told me he better not. There was something in her voice when she said it, not just frustration, but exhaustion. The exhaustion of someone who has been managing around a person for years and was finally close to something that was just for her. I could see in her eyes that she half believed me and was desperately hoping I was wrong. She was not wrong to be worried. The day came. Anna finished packing. She had done everything right. She was ready to walk out that door and have something that belonged entirely to her. And then her phone buzzed. A text. Not a call, a text, from Dick, saying there was an emergency at work, he could not take the time off after all, he had a very long day on Tuesday and would be flying out for a business trip on Wednesday, he was so sorry, he would make it up to her. He did not call her. He did not have the decency to dial her number and say the words out loud. He sent a text and then presumably put his phone down and went about his day. I cannot overstate how cruel that was. This woman had planned for months. She had coordinated everything. She had asked for one thing, checked on that one thing, and trusted the answer she was given. She had let herself get excited. She had imagined what those few days would feel like. And he sent a text. Anna called me barely able to speak. She was in tears, the kind that come from somewhere deep, from a place of exhaustion and disappointment and the particular grief of watching something you worked for get taken away by someone who did not even think twice about it. She could barely form sentences. And here is what I love about Anna, what I have always loved about her. She did not spiral into helplessness. She did not lie down on the floor and let the situation swallow her. She was devastated, yes. She was furious, absolutely. But she kept moving. I told her to finish packing, get herself together, and go pick up her kids from school. I told her I would watch them until Dick came home. She did not want me in the middle of it, which I respected completely, but I told her that was not her problem to manage right now. I told her that my relationship with my brother was my business and that she needed to go get on that hotel shuttle and enjoy every single thing she had worked for. Dick strolled through the door at 10 in the evening. Not 5 o'clock. Not 6:30. 10 at night. And I want you to sit with that image for a moment. His wife was gone. His children had needed watching. And he sauntered home at 10 p.m. with the energy of a man who believed he had fulfilled some obligation simply by existing in proximity to his own life. He did not come home early knowing the situation was complicated. He did not rush. He showed up at 10, looked at me, and I looked at him, and I told him exactly what I thought of him on my way out the door. I used a word I will not repeat here but that I stand behind 100%. He blew up my phone immediately after I left. I put him on Do Not Disturb without reading a single message. The next day I talked with Anna and she told me he had been blowing up her phone too. And Anna, who had been in tears less than 24 hours earlier, came back with a clarity and a calm that honestly impressed me. She did not yell. She did not spiral. She told Dick with complete composure that they had two options: marriage counseling or divorce lawyers. His choice. And she told him to stop calling her unless it was a genuine, documented emergency involving the children. That landed. The calling stopped. Then he showed up at my house. I spoke to him through my Ring camera, because I was not opening that door for this conversation. I was not giving him the satisfaction of a face-to-face where he could turn on the charm or play the wounded party. And through that camera I watched him stand on my porch and ask me, the audacity fully intact, what he was supposed to do with the kids. He asked me that question. The biological father of those children looked into my Ring camera and asked his sister what he was supposed to do with the small humans he helped bring into the world. I asked him point blank whether he had ever actually submitted a time-off request to his job. He would not answer. He kept pivoting back to the business trip, the very important business trip, the trip that was apparently too critical to skip but not important enough to have mentioned until the moment it was most convenient. He asked if I could watch the kids. He asked if I could get the babysitter contact information from Anna because Anna had not given it to him. I told him to get off my property. Here is what Anna had done before she left, because I want this part to be very clear. She prepped full meals for the kids for the entire week. She washed and organized their clothes and laid out outfits. She wrote a detailed itinerary of their daily schedule, their routines, their activities, their needs. She left nothing to chance. She handed this man a complete operational guide to parenting his own children for less than a week. And he still ended up on my porch asking for help, because he had spent years never needing to know any of this, because Anna was always there, always anticipating, always absorbing the mental load so quietly and completely that Dick had never once been required to hold any of it himself. And now that she was gone, he realized he did not even know where to start. His parents are not returning his calls. Her parents are not returning his calls. No one is swooping in. No one is managing this for him. He had to cancel the alleged business trip, which is the detail that tells you everything you need to know about how real that emergency actually was. Anna said she is going to get to the bottom of exactly what that trip was when she gets home. I hope she does. I hope Anna is at that hotel right now, laughing with her friends, networking, feeling like a full human being instead of a household function. And I genuinely hope Dick sits alone in that house, surrounded by the meals his wife prepped and the schedule his wife wrote, and really thinks about what he has been building and what he is in the process of losing. Here is what I want to say clearly and without any softness. Dick did not forget to request time off. He made a deliberate choice. He chose not to plan, because not planning meant Anna would have to solve it, and Anna solving things was the dynamic he had been coasting on for years. He was counting on her guilt, or her love, or her exhaustion, to make her stay home and handle things the way she always had. He did not calculate that she would be done absorbing it. He did not calculate that she had a sister-in-law willing to step in. He did not calculate that this would be the moment the whole structure finally showed him what it was made of. The marriage counseling or lawyer's ultimatum is not a threat. It is a woman telling you exactly what she has left, with a steadiness that only comes from someone who has already done most of her grieving privately, over a long time, in small pieces. She is not begging him to change. She is offering him one final on-ramp back to the person she married, and she is doing it from a position of clarity rather than desperation. And based on everything I have seen from Dick across his entire adult life, I am not confident he will take it. Men like Dick do not usually see the wall coming until they are already through it. Anna deserves the trip. She deserves the friends and the laughter and the feeling of being somewhere that she chose for herself. She deserves a partner who shows up, not one who texts his excuses at the worst possible moment and then strolls home at 10 at night wondering why everyone is upset. And if Dick cannot be that partner, she will absolutely find her way to a life that does not require her to fight for basic consideration from the person who is supposed to have her back above everyone else. I am rooting for her. I genuinely am. Good luck, sis. I love my boyfriend, but he gambled away $30,000, and I think I already know what I have to do. He got $30,000. $30,000 fell into his hands like a lifeline, like a door swinging open on a life that had been stuck, and he gambled every single cent of it away. And the part that still has not left me, the part one keep coming back to, is that she found out after it was already gone. That is the kind of thing that changes the temperature of a relationship permanently. Not a fight that ends in tears and apologies and eventually moves on. Not a bad decision that costs something but can be repaired over time. A confession after the fact, delivered quietly, from a place of having nothing left to confess about because the damage was already complete. The money was gone. The chance was over. The future she had maybe started to imagine with that $30,000 already spent and buried. And now she had to decide what to do with that information while standing in the rubble of something she had not even known was on fire. This woman, who we will just call her, has been with her boyfriend for 4 years. She is 30 years old. She is an accountant, someone whose entire professional life is built around understanding numbers, tracking patterns, and knowing where money goes and why. She earns $120,000 a year. She has savings she built herself, through discipline and delayed gratification, and the kind of financial intention that does not happen by accident. She has goals that are not abstract. She wants to get married. She wants children. She wants a home that belongs to her. She has not been sitting around waiting for the universe to sort things out on her behalf. She has been building her own life with both hands, deliberately and consistently, while hoping that the person beside her would eventually catch up. He has not caught up. He earns $40,000 a year in a customer service job and has been enrolled in one certificate program after another for the entire 4 years they have been together, each one presented as the thing that is finally going to move the needle, each one quietly abandoned before it ever reaches completion. None of these programs have produced a certificate. None of them have led to a raise, a promotion, or a single concrete change in his financial situation. And she has been patient with this in a way that most people would not be. She has subsidized their shared life, covering 70% of the bills month after month, funding their trips, absorbing the gap between what he earns and what their life actually costs, and she did not do this resentfully in the beginning. She did it as an act of love. She did it as an investment in someone she believed was moving, even slowly, in the right direction. Then the inheritance arrived. $30,000 from a family member, and I want you to imagine what that moment must have felt like for her. She had been carrying so much for so long. She had been the financially stable one, the one who covered the shortfall, the one who quietly swallowed her frustration and told herself it was temporary. And then suddenly there was money. Real money. Not a windfall she had to share or explain, but money that landed directly in his hands at a moment when everything felt like it could shift. Maybe this was the turning point she had been waiting for. Maybe he would pay down debt, or invest it, or put something aside as a foundation for the future they kept talking about in vague terms without ever taking concrete steps toward. Maybe this was the moment that would finally make her feel like they were building something together instead of her building and him watching. He gambled it all away. He did not invest $1 of it. He did not use it to catch up on anything or put a single cent toward their future. He did not buy a ring. He sat with $30,000, looked at it, and decided the best use of it was to try to turn it into more at a casino or on a betting app or wherever this happened, chasing a bigger number that never came, until the original number was gone too. And then, only after there was nothing left and no amount of honesty could change the outcome, he told her. He told her he had a gambling addiction. He told her he was sorry. He told her it would never happen again. Let me take a breath here, because I need to. She stayed. She did not pack a bag that night or the next morning. She processed it the way someone processes a quiet devastation, slowly and privately, trying to find the version of the story where it still makes sense to stay. She has been telling herself for the past 6 months that this is the lowest point, that the admission of the addiction is the beginning of something, that now that the money is gone and the secret is out, maybe the real work can finally start. And I understand that logic completely. It is not naive. It is the logic of someone who loves a person deeply and wants to believe that love is not being wasted. But here is the thing she is also carrying underneath all of that hope. She is resentful. She said it herself. She named it without flinching. And resentment is not something you can wait out or love your way around. It has to be addressed directly and honestly, or it becomes the foundation that everything else slowly cracks on top of. She is also scared. She said it plainly in the edit she added at the end of her post, almost like she needed to get it out before she lost the nerve. Starting over at 30 terrifies her. What if she walks away and does not find someone else? What if these 4 years were not just difficult but genuinely wasted, time she could have spent somewhere else with someone else who was actually moving in her direction? That fear is real and it is not something to dismiss. But I want to place it right next to something else she said in that same breath. She said she knows she deserves more. She said she almost feels stuck. And when someone says both of those things in the same paragraph, that is not a relationship problem waiting to be solved. That is a departure that has not happened yet, sitting quietly in the room with her while she tries to talk herself out of it. She asked whether she is being shallow for considering leaving someone over finances. And the answer is no. This is not about his income level. This is not about the gap between $120,000 and $40,000 a year, because plenty of couples navigate income differences with communication and mutual effort and a shared sense of direction. This is about a pattern of behavior that has repeated itself across 4 years without any meaningful shift. It is about the programs that get enrolled in and never finished. It is about the bills that arrive late even on the reduced share she agreed to cover less of. It is about an inheritance that represented a genuine, concrete opportunity to change the trajectory of his life and their future together, and instead that money went into the void of an addiction he had been hiding from the person who was financing his existence. That is not shallow. That is a woman paying attention to what she has actually seen, and drawing honest conclusions from it. She is 30 years old. She has 11 months left on this lease. And she has a decision ahead of her that only she can make, in her own time, on her own terms. But I am going to tell her what I think anyway. She already knows. That is the thing I keep coming back to when I read her post. She is not here because she is confused about the facts. She laid them out with the kind of precision and clarity that comes from someone who has been turning this over in her mind for a long time, examining it from every angle, looking for the version of the story where she is wrong. She is not asking for someone to explain the pattern to her. She is asking for permission to act on what she already understands, and the reason she needs that permission is because she is afraid and because she loves him and because loving someone and knowing you need to leave them is one of the loneliest feelings there is. Both of those things are real. Both of them are valid. And neither of them is a reason to stay inside something that is making her resentful, stuck, and quietly mourning the future she wanted. The gambling addiction is not just a financial red flag. It is a mental health and behavioral issue that requires real, structured, professional treatment. Not a promise made in the aftermath of losing everything. Not a declaration delivered under pressure that it will never happen again. Actual treatment. Therapy with someone who specializes in compulsive behavior. A recovery program with accountability built into it. 6 months of not gambling because there is no money left to gamble with is not recovery. That is just the absence of opportunity. Recovery looks like work, consistent and documented and supported by more than good intentions. She deserves someone who matches her energy. Someone who wakes up every single day and takes the life they are building as seriously as she takes hers, who shows up with the same intention and consistency that she brings to everything she does. That person may still be her boyfriend somewhere down the road, after real work and real change. He might have a genuine turning point ahead of him. But she has already waited 4 years for the version of him she believed she was investing in. She has already absorbed financial and emotional weight that was never supposed to be hers alone. She has already watched what he does when real opportunity lands in his hands. She owes it to herself to decide what the next chapter of her life looks like with clear eyes, and she owes it to herself to make that decision based on the person she has actually been with, not the person she has been hoping he would eventually become. Drop a comment telling me which story hit harder. I genuinely cannot decide. And if you made it this far, a like and subscribe would mean a lot.